What's up, YouTube? This is Boxingwave. Deontay Wilder, Zhilei Zhang this weekend on the 5v5 card. I will be doing live commentary this Saturday, so make sure you be here. This fight is so hard to predict, all right? And this is a fight that I've been back and forth throughout the weekend. I've spent time rewatching old fights with Wilder and Zhang, okay? I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to get the video out of the way because I don't want to start overthinking when it comes to this fight. What I will say is this. I think this fight can end in so many different scenarios. I think a lot of people are looking at this fight like there's definitely going to be a knockout. I don't necessarily believe that neither. All right, they're both coming off losses to the same fighter, Joseph Parker. I do not necessarily believe that this fight definitely ends in a knockout. These two are the biggest punchers, two of the biggest punchers in the heavyweight division, for sure. That's a fact. But these guys have flaws that are dead obvious. And all the criticisms for both fighters are all real. All of them are real. So going into this fight is very, very hard to call. Both fighters seem to be past it. Both fighters, again, coming off losses to the same fighter. Both fighters have big knockout power. Both fighters are not good at winning rounds. And this is why I say I wouldn't be surprised if this were to go to a decision. And for once, I actually think that if this fight were to go to a decision, I wouldn't even be surprised if Wilder won a decision. I've never said that on this channel. I've always felt like Wilder will lose a decision fight against at least a few of the fighters that he's fought. But this time around, Zhilei Zhang's punch output has been so low throughout the years. I'm just not sure. He hasn't really ever gotten it done. He's never really completely finished the job. So I just don't know. I don't know. And if the older Wilder happens to show up, it makes the fight much more interesting, right? But you guys got to remember, because I've heard people's opinions about this. I've read so many comments about this. And and I know I'm going to be completely all over the place in this video, and I don't care, because this is one of those ones where it's a pick'em fight for me, You guys got to understand that Wilder, let's just say Wilder shows up. The Wilder, and I want to say the Wilder of Fury, Wilder 3. The most animalistic Deontay Wilder we can see. I mean, the guy came in heavier, was throwing jabs, was throwing right hands over and over and over again. All right? This is not the Wilder that was trying to be a boxer. He wasn't trying to focus on strategy here. He was trying to kill Tyson Fury in that third fight. All right? He had some success. He knocked down Fury a couple times. He even caught Fury with some other good shots that buzzed him. But it just wasn't enough to put Fury away. And that's part of the reason why he lost the fight. He burned out, and Fury just, he was a better guy that night. But even if that version of Deontay Wilder shows up, and the older versions of Wilder, even prior to that, you guys got to remember, we may be seeing a fight where there's a 70-pound weight difference. I am not hearing no one talk about that. I'm not reading no tweets, no comments. No one is talking about the fact that Zhilei Zhang, if he comes in at 290 again, and Deontay Wilder, if he's roughly around 213, 215, or even 220, there may be a 70-plus pound weight difference, because Wilder, and I've already seen videos of him, he's not heavy like he was in that third Fury rematch. And even if he's a little bit heavier, he's not 238 pounds. He may be 220. So there may be a size, huge size difference. And Zhilei Zhang is a pretty durable guy. On top of being big, he's pretty durable on top of that. And I know Wilder's a bigger puncher, but it's not like Zhang is just an easy target to hit. He's not Joe Joyce. So even if Wilder is at his very best, he may not get the job done because he may not be able to put this guy down because the guy is so big and durable. I think the biggest criticism of Zhilei Zhang is his gas tank. I don't even say he's a 6-round fighter. I would say he's a 5. You know, just basing on the Joe Joyce fights, especially the first fight, because I remember putting money down for that fight on Zhang getting the win, getting the KO win. I remember being nervous because the fight started to change momentum before the knockout a little bit. It seemed like he started to slow down. And that is a guarantee with any of his fights. I know he dropped Joseph Parker maybe in the 8th round or something like that in their fight. I get it. He dropped Parker. It wasn't a shot you would expect him to drop Parker with, but he dropped him late. But outside of those 2 rounds with Parker, and even you can make an argument, at least one of those rounds, you could make the argument that Parker won the round outside of the knockdown. Zhilei Zhang activity is very, very low. It's very, very poor, especially after 5 rounds. He's going to give you his best in the first 4 or 5 rounds. After that, you'll get a punch, a clean shot here and there. If you're able to take it and just outscore him, this is why I say I wouldn't be surprised if Wilder won the fight, because even though Wilder is not high volume, what I would consider high volume, Wilder is going to give you more than what Zhilei Zhang is going to give you. You know, now whether he's going to be accurate, you know, whether he's going to get those punches through, that's a different topic. We just have to wait on fight night. But there's so many things that really don't know. You know, Wilder is going to be facing Zhang, who's a southpaw. Zhang is slightly taller. Zhang is slightly shorter. I believe Wilder has a slight reach advantage here. I'm not sure. I don't want to confirm that. All right, but what I do know is Zhang is the southpaw here. He has a big straight left hand. He has a big right hook too. And I think Zhang, very slow on his feet, but very quick on his hands, throws pretty good combinations. But there's not much to his game, really. You know, he's a big man that likes come forward, fights out of a high guard. All right. Again, not a lot of volume, just very precise, trying to land a straight left hand. You know, he's not trying to waste too many punches because he clearly doesn't have the great cardio. I've never really seen a fight with him that I thought he looked extremely impressive. I think the Joyce fights, I think the style matched up perfectly for him. So it's not that I'm taking any credit away from those wins, because those are good wins. But the styles matched up well for him. Zhilei Zhang came in heavier. He's a bigger puncher, probably one punch knockout. Joyce is a big puncher as well. But Joyce, a lot of his power is based on just volume. You know what I mean? It's like how Errol Spence is, you know? Zhang, big punch, good counter puncher. And the guy was coming straight in. So him being a southpaw, it was very easy for him to target that head of Joe Joyce. I don't think anyone that Zhang has faced is going to be that simple or even face moving forward. You know, I don't think Wilder is going to be that simple to hit. Even though Wilder is smaller, Wilder's is not that easy to hit. I don't think Wilder is good defensively, but I think Wilder's athleticism can get him to get out of the way of those shots, you know, either by leaning back or, you know, whatever. Zhang, outside of that fight, has not looked that impressive to me. I think the Hrgović fight, a lot of people feel that he was robbed there. I actually think that fight could have gone either way. I haven't been able to watch the full fight again since the night of the fight. But I do remember that I thought Hrgović was more consistent throughout the rounds, and Zhang had the biggest moments throughout the fight. He scored a knockdown. He buzzed Hrgović throughout the fight. But as far as round by round scoring, I thought Hrgović did more work, especially in the second half. I cannot find the fight on YouTube or on any streaming thing. All I see is a bunch of highlight videos that kind of make Zhang look better. It's my opinion. Also, the Joseph Parker fight where they both lost, even though Hrgović did better because of the two knockdowns. Zhang did better because of the two knockdowns. Zhang still really didn't impress because I thought he could have done more just by just letting his hands go more. And he can't do it. He just can't do it. Even with the knockdowns, he couldn't get more out of it. It seems like Joseph Parker got hit, he went down, he got up, and then won the following round. You know? Zhang is just not a closer to me. Zhang is a big puncher that couldn't get Jerry Forrest out of there with the 3 early knockdowns. He's just not a closer. You know, he's good, he's effective, but he hasn't proven to close the show outside of the Joe Joyce fight, which I think, again, the guy was just too easy for him to target. You know, and with Joyce always having that size advantage, it didn't really work for him in this fight. You know, Zhang, the better boxer, the bigger puncher, the bigger man, won the fight. All right. So for me, I thought it was pretty easy to predict, even though Joyce was going on a hot run, stopping Joseph Parker, you know, beating all of these guys. I just haven't really been impressed with Zhang outside of that. His weakness here, especially being at 41 years old, his cardio is probably the worst out of the top tier heavyweights right now. You know, and even though he has one of the biggest punches out there, and I do believe that he's probably the biggest puncher that Wilder's faced. And this is why he has a great chance of winning, because he is a big puncher and he boxes pretty damn good. You're just not going to get much out of him. And if you find a way to survive the first 3, 4, 5 rounds, no matter what the onslaught looks like, Jerry Forrest, Filip Hrgović, Joseph Parker, regardless of the onslaught you're going to get, the knockdowns you're going to receive, you may still win the fight. And I think that's his biggest criticism. And when it comes to Deontay Wilder, I just don't know where he's at this point. I don't know. He's 38 years old. He's had 2 fights in the last 3 years. Since the Tyson Fury trilogy fight, which was back in 2021. He fought Robert Helenius, which is the most tune-up fight that anyone can have at this point in their career. Helenius is not a bad fighter, but Helenius is Deontay Wilder's sparring partner before they fought each other. This is who he prepared with to fight Tyson Fury in the trilogy fight. So if anybody knows Robert Helenius, it's Deontay Wilder. So when I say, I was making a point a minute ago how Zhilei Zhang and how Joe Joyce was an easy matchup for him. The Hellenius fight was an even easier matchup for him because we already know that Hellenius is another fighter that doesn't move his head. All right. And just comes straight in, which Wilder expected. That's all he needed to do was move and circle around the ring until Hellenius lunged in and he would just clip him with a short right hand, which is what he did, and knocked him out in the first round. Why? Because he knows exactly how this guy fights. So it was just a tune-up to get back in the ring. But the fight did nothing for me. It doesn't do anything for Wilder. It doesn't make him improve. He just fought a style that we didn't see him fight before, where he was using the ring. A lot of lateral movement. I think unnecessary lateral movement. But it worked for him in that fight because he was familiar with the opponent. It didn't work for Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker fight was the worst Deontay Wilder performance ever. Now, I've seen Wilder lose some early rounds to fighters. Okay, I've seen him lose early rounds against Luis Ortiz, the only other relevant southpaw that he faced. I've seen him lose against Gerald Washington. I've seen him lose some Arthur Spilka. There's some fighters out there that he was losing so many early rounds, and then he was able to just clip them with a right hand at some point and win the fight. When it came to Joseph Parker, though, it didn't work. He tried to do what he did against Hellenius, and it wasn't working. You know, he was getting smoked in the fight by Parker. Parker, better mover, quicker feet, quicker hands, more athletic than Wilder. Just had everything going for him that night. Wilder just couldn't land the ultimate right hand. And him being on his back foot for 95% of the fight didn't help. So he relied on taking advantage of a mistake of Joseph Parker, and the mistake never really came. And even a couple times where he did land the right hand, you know, his feet, it's not like his feet was planted because he kept constantly moving. You know, so he couldn't really get the full impact of none of those right hands in that fight. And he fought the fight based on, I'm going to give up these rounds, but I'm going to eventually land this right hand that's going to be hard enough to hurt Parker, and I'm going to put him out. Parker had already been stopped, so they probably went on a game plan where that game plan, they felt that was going to work. But there was no adjustments in the fight. And this is what made the fight such a horrible performance for Wilder. Because there was no plan of attack. It was more like countering and catching Parker making one mistake, which never came. All right? And he got dominated in that fight. Dominated. So I don't think Wilder is going to fight that kind of fight. And even if he tried to, it wouldn't be the same type of fight anyway. Why? Because Zhilei Zhang is not like Joseph Parker. Zhang is more, I'm expecting this fight to go maybe a little bit like in the same pacing of the Luis Ortiz rematch. Not the first fight. I thought the first fight was a lot more intense. I thought Luis Ortiz was definitely being more aggressive, whereas in the second fight he was coasting and winning on points, but more focused on not getting caught with the right hand. Wilder was more focused on timing him with the right hand at some point, which was worked out for him. So I think in this fight, I think Zhang is going to be a little bit more aggressive than Ortiz was in the rematch. But I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference. Okay, I think this is going to be more of a technical fight. Zhang is not quick on his feet. So if Wilder decides to move, I can see them having a certain level of respect for each other to where they don't want to get hit with each other's big punch. Joseph Parker was different because Joseph Parker was just too damn fast for Wilder. He was just too fast. Zhang, on the other hand, is going to be cautious. There's going to be a certain level of caution there when it comes to Zhang. And the same with Deontay Wilder. I think the slower the fight goes, it works out in both favors in some way. If Wilder is not that aggressive, Zhang can stretch out his gas tank a little further into the fight. Whereas Wilder he won't feel the pressure of someone coming at him and getting him out of there, where he can stretch it to the later rounds too. You got to remember too, Wilder he doesn't have the best gas tank neither. But his power has come through for him in the later ends of fights, like against Luis Ortiz in the first fight. I'm sure there's other fights that I can name. You know, I've done seen them all at this point. So with all that being said, I really don't know who's going to win, because I don't know. It really depends on what Wilder is able to bring. I don't know what he has left. I don't know if he's really durable anymore. You know, I don't know if he can. That beating from Tyson Fury in the third fight, you know, and the second. But in the third fight, even though he showed an extreme amount of heart, and he just didn't want to quit, he took a lot of punishment from that fight. And he took some time off, and he's 38 years old now. He'll be 39 later this year. I don't know what he has left. I know Zhang is older, but Wilder has took the bigger punishment between the two. So I don't know what Wilder has left. I won't know until this fight. We can all say that he's the old Wilder's back. We could watch some videos of him hitting the mitts with Malik Scott and spinning around the ring and do all this wacky shit that he's always done. That's not enough for me to be convinced that he's back. You know, because he can get hit with a clean shot from Zhang, and that can all change mentally in the ring. So I don't know what Wilder we're going to get. You know, I think him going into the Fury fight the third time, taking that first loss, there was a lot going on at that time. We already know that kind of shut down the internet. That Glovegate stuff and all of this stuff, the tension between the boxing community, the boxing fans. Going to that third fight, it was a lot riding on that fight. We didn't even know we was going to get the third fight because of, you know, the contract seemed to expire and all this stuff with the pandemic at the time. So look, there was a lot riding on that Deontay Wilder fight. He came in much bigger, and he went in there to try to kill Tyson Fury, like I said. But what I will say is this. I think Wilder, I like the game plan in the third Fury fight. I like the amount of times he was jabbing to the body. I think we need that in this fight from him. He needs to jab to the body. He needs to throw the right hands to the body of Zhang. Get this guy to slow down early. He already has a poor gas tank. Joseph Parker consistently jabbed and threw right hands to the body of Zhang. You want to do it. Zhang is fighting out of high guard. I know you're going to be worried and concerned about the right hand hook, the lead hook. And I get it. He's a good counterpuncher. He has good timing. But you have to take that risk. You have to go to the body of Zhang early. Okay? I think Wilder need to mix a little bit of the old Wilder from that Fury trilogy fight with a little bit of the new Wilder that used the lateral movement. I don't think it would be smart for Wilder to just go a full-fledged attack straight on Zhang, because Zhang is a good counterpuncher. And once you're in range, that's where Zhang is at his best, especially in the earliest rounds. So those first 4 or 5 rounds, you need to commit to going to the body of Zhang to slow him down, so you can possibly get him with a good shot later. You know, he's going to have the high guard. Throw the jab, throw the right hand, punch through that high guard like you did against Stavern in that rematch fight, which was a ridiculous fight, by the way. But anyway, that's got to be the game plan here. Just invest to the body earlier. Don't do too much work. Don't put yourself in a bad spot because Zhang is the most dangerous in those earlier rounds. When it comes to Zhang, I thought hard about this and his strategy and his pacing on where his approach should be. Zhang, no matter what happens, is just going to be poor in the later rounds to me. He's going to be poor. So he's not proven to be a 12-round fighter. Again, I know he feels like he wasn't right going into that Jerry Forrest fight. But you have not shown in any other fight outside of that fight that you have good cardio. It is what it is. One thing about Jerry Forrest is that even though he kept getting knocked down, he was all right to continue. And Jerry Forrest also committed to the body. And I think that was part of the reason why Parker committed to the body the way that he did. Jerry Forrest came back and was winning the second half of that fight. And I think that Zhang should not try to stretch out the stamina. I actually think that Zhang's best chance of winning this fight is going full-fledged attack on Wilder early. Wilder may not be there mentally. Wilder's confidence seemed like it's coming back based on what he's saying, but in the ring that night, I don't know. He might have PTSD from the trilogy, with Fury. I don't know where Wilder is. No one knows. So in my opinion, Zhilei Zhang needs to do a full-fledged attack from jump. Don't give Wilder the opportunity to beat you later when you're burnt out because you were too busy trying to conserve energy to beat him later. No, get him while he's a guy that's been less inactive. You're the guy that's coming off the better performances. Both losses to Joseph Parker, but your performance was better. You beat Joe Joyce. So with that being said, you need to come straight at Wilder. You got to let him know early. Yeah, you might not stop him early, but you can drop him early. You can buzz him early. You can counter him with a good shot early to make him know that you're in control of the fight. You want to destroy the confidence of Deontay Wilder in this fight by coming at him early and catching him with a good shot. You don't want him to gain momentum because the fight is somewhat even in the earlier rounds. Because Wilder, to me, will be the stronger fighter later in the later half, where in the first 6 rounds or so, Zhilei Zhang is going to be on top. But could Zhang actually stop Wilder? I really don't know. Damn. I've been back and forth with this fight all week. This is the first fight in a long time that I can say that I thought at one point Wilder would beat him. I think Wilder on his best day would beat Zhang. And I thought in recent performances, Zhang should be able to beat Wilder. I'm going to go with Zhilei Zhang. And simply because it's kind of like the way I choose to pick my fights. It's like last week with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall. I had a feeling that I felt like Josh Taylor would win the fight. I felt like Josh Taylor would push to win the fight, and he was more aggressive. He did better than he did in the first fight, in my opinion. But Jack Catterall did better too. And even though both of these fighters feel like the pressure and all, and I think one of these fighters could get an Anthony Joshua fight. One of these fighters will get another big fight if they are to win. I have to go with logic here. I can't pick off a feeling. The feeling is Wilder wins. The feeling is I think Wilder is going to come through and give us some of that old Wilder magic and get the job done. But when I really think about it too, I think Zhang is the most dangerous puncher on his resume, even more so than Ortiz and Fury and Parker. I think Zhang is the most dangerous puncher out of those three top heavyweights that Wilder has fought. And those three top heavyweights, he's only beaten one of them. And in my opinion, that's the weaker of the top three, in Luis Ortiz. I think Zhang is better than Ortiz. I think Zhang is just the logical pick to go with. And this is why I have to pick him to win. How does he win? I don't know. I can see him winning on points. I can see him winning by stoppage. The same with Wilder. I can see him catching Zhang and beating Zhang even on points if it goes a distance. Because Zhang is just, his activity is too low to give him many rounds. I can also see Wilder beating Zhang by stoppage in the later half of the fight. And I could see Zhang stopping Wilder within 6 or 7 rounds. I also mentioned, though, I also say this. Even though I think Wilder is the better fighter in the second half of the fight, what if he's taken so much damage from Zhang in the earlier rounds that even though if he's still in a fight, and even though Zhang normally slows down at this point, Wilder is too damaged from the earlier rounds against Zhang here. There's a lot of things and there's a lot of ways this fight can go. I know some of you are going to feel like this is a drawn out breakdown, but I really truly believe that this fight can go either way. I do think this is as 50-50 as you're going to get. But I have to go with logic, and my final pick is Zhang. I would probably bet straight up if I were to bet. I am not betting on this fight. I just think it's too many ways the fight can go. And if it does go to a decision, I wouldn't even be surprised if we got a draw out of it. I honestly don't know how this fight is going to go. I'm just going to sit back and watch the fight and enjoy it for fun when I'm with you guys this Saturday. Hopefully it's a good fight. It should be a good fight. The matchup is a good matchup. All right, but I got to go with Zhang. That's my final pick. I was going to tell you guys Wilder early this morning. I did a little bit more film study, a little bit more thinking. I'm going to go with Zhang. All right. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. I will see you Saturday, and I have more breakdowns to do for this upcoming fights. All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.